Hey guys, welcome back to Phoenix Films. Today we're going to be tackling episode 9 of Attack on Titan. To skip to specific sections of the video that you're looking for, check the links in the doobly-doo or in the comment section. Alright, some quick housekeeping out of the way first. Some of the copyright problems are kind of coming back. I got a few of my videos to be fully mine through the appeals process, but a couple of the videos have come back with takedown notices. So a few videos will be, or two of the videos will be getting taken down in early September, and then after that I can submit a counter notification, which is kind of like the last step of all the appeals process. It's like the find me in court step, I guess. I don't think though. I've heard that that companies really won't act on it. They're just like threatening, right? Threaten the little guy. Anyway, so during that time after early September, while those are going through, it should give me 2 copyright strikes on the channel. So and if you get a third, the channel's like immediately terminated. I think I should be safe since I've only got 2 open, but my understanding is for when your account has 2 strikes, then I won't be able to upload for 2 weeks, or that I can't upload videos longer than 15 minutes is like something like this. It's really vague. It's like hard to find concrete info online. I'm hoping to get at least a couple episodes set up and scheduled before my upload cuts off, and but like I don't know, no promises. If I'm gone for like 2 weeks, that's why. Hopefully I'll have like more videos stocked up then. That would be nice. In better news, I'm finally getting a phone upgrade after 4.5 years. So I'm looking at one of the cheaper Google Pixel things, Pixel 3a, I think, which has a 1080p camera. And once I can get 1080p working, then I'm thinking of going to 1080p 60 frames per second, or even 4K. I can do both on that with that phone. So I guess we'll get there when we get there, but I'd be interested what people would want more, 1080p 60 or 4K. The file sizes are going to be pretty big hassle, but once I figure that out, I think it should be fine. In the meantime, I'm saving up for a microphone upgrade. This one's a little fuzzy at times. Yeah, anyway, I'm going to be getting busier again in September. For now, I'm still planning on weekly uploads. My Saturdays should be free enough to get a video done every week, but yeah, with the copyright thing, it's kind of uncertain. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get to the pre-discussion. All right, so I guess thoughts from last episode, not too much. Seems like Eren doesn't have the key anymore. I went back and looked a little bit. I didn't like look too closely, just like skimmed through. And I didn't see it, so that's like a good plot thread to see where that goes. Yeah, straight into like questions and predictions. So questions: will Eren wake up? If he does, will he remember anything? I really hope so, because then that could be potentially a lot of insight into the mechanics of Titans. Then with Mikasa's like rebirth pomegranate scene, I'm curious if Eren does wake up, how the dynamic of their 2 characters will be affected. I'm curious what John's line of "was my hope just an impossible dream" from last episode, and why is he the de facto leader when he's number 6 and there's people above him, 2, 3, 4, that presumably would be more competent. I'm curious where Krista and the freckled PTSD girl went and how they got separated from Connie. Maybe they were just like in separate squads and just both squads happened to be at that arming scene, but they may have split up after. I'm curious why his Titan stopped regenerating. Is there like some mass energy time limit? Or was the Titan like using its body / energy to regenerate Eren? I don't know. Then are the Titans discrete sizes or continuous? So are they like do they only come in certain sizes, like mass produced or something? I think that could give us a clue. There's some standardization to the Titans. Yeah, where's the key if Eren doesn't have it? My final question is, how is Eren going to be used? I think the top 6 plus Armin last episode were talking or seemed interested in somehow using Eren. Although maybe it was just the Titan and not... They wouldn't think that after they know it's Eren. I'd imagine Mikasa and Armin like don't want him to get sent back onto the battlefield. Anyway, to wrap the pre-discussion up, let's get to the predictions. It seemed like last episode Reiner has some kind of like crush thing on Annie. Seemed like kind of teasing her. With last episode, there wasn't really, I don't remember, in the last few episodes, I don't remember seeing any like lightning that would be Eren. So I'm thinking that the lightning might only be a requirement for the vast amount of energy that you need to build like a colossal titan. Otherwise, it's more of like the electric threads thing, like we saw with the Eren's Titan hand, like thread and cloth almost. Either that or Eren being inside the other Titan somehow took control. I don't know. Yeah, I think the injection with Eren, I think it's like a Hulk thing, and it's triggered by either being close to death or getting inside of another Titan. One of those two things. So I'm interested to see where that goes. And I think we'll see some kind of mounting and defense of the rear gate. Maybe we'll see the colossal or the armored reappear, and maybe we'll finally have a wall smashing Hulk smash. But anyway, let's get into it. This episode is entitled Where the Left Arm Went, The Battle for Trost, Part 5. Again, a reminder, check the doobly-doo for a link to the full-length reaction if you're interested. But I think that's everything. Yeah, let's get into it. I just love those horns. What are those called? They have a special name. I don't think it's like a... like the sudden high note that you do with French horn. I think those are French horns. It's like it's not a glissando. That's like for trombones. I'll have to look that up later. It's gonna bother me. Where the left arm went. Excited.
Kyojinの襲撃を受けたトロスト区で兵士たちの被害が大きかったのは
Here's why the gate sucked.
調査兵団の不在も影響していた。
Yes, they were gone.
壁外調査に出発したばかりだった。
Is it a coincidence? Oh, that's kind of a cool shift there. Commander Erwin. This is, I think, straight repeat from the other episode. Kind of like a goggled older
壁外
Sasha.
調査そして進出のための拠点の設置人類の英知の結晶である一部の才覚によって生存率は飛躍的に向上したが
Military geniuses.
巨人の領毎回3割
Yeah, they are all amounted now.
損害が伴う
30%.
それほど
Oh.
人類と
Yo, what? 30. Every time? That's like super high attrition rate.
最後に生き残るのは人類だ。
God damn.
リヴァイ兵長が
Oh. Nice. We got a new Titan killer on the scene.
右に行った左に行った
Captain.
ペトラ、お前は下の兵士を解放しろ。残りの全員は右を支援しろ。俺は左を片付ける。
大丈夫だよお前を痛い目に遭わせたりしないから
That Titan looks like an actor. What actor is that? I don't know. And this girl's like so much like Sasha. Like a grown-up Sasha. It's like wrapped around his neck. Oh man. This guy's awesome. What was his name? Spinny boy. That's like straight from episode 1.
汚ねえな。
I like his little mascot. What is that tie thing? I'm a big fan of those.
兵長血が止まりません
I thought he got chomped in half, like half.
なんだ。
Man, he just like killed 2 of them, 3 of them.
人類の役に立てたでしょうか。
So like comparable to Mikasa in that other scene.
お前は十分に活躍した。そしてこれからもだ。俺に力を与える。
Hmm.
約束しよう。俺は必ず巨人を絶滅させる。
Like Eren.
兵長
最後まで聞いたのか。
Oh,
こいつは。
きっと聞こえてましたよだって
and slow deaths on screen is like
眠っている
ならいい。
リヴァイ退却だ。
退却。まだ限界まで進んでねえぞ。俺の部下は犬死にか。
everyone's dying.
巨人が町を目指して一斉に北上し始めた。
They're south.
5年前と同じ
Yeah,
だ。
main straight south, right?
町に何かが起きている。
This guy's got like a nice deep voice. Oh man. Gee. Hand. Where the left arm went, right? Oh man. And that's just like one Titan. Oh my god, there's like a dozen in there.
こんなはずじゃ。俺たちは5年前とは違うんだ。必死に訓練した。必死に考えた。
Yeah. And there's garrison people even more.
暑い暑いよ
Yo. Someone's living in it. Oh man.
お母さん
And it's like straight out of like a hellish fantasy. Like a soup of bodies. Oh,
どうして俺たちは奪われる。命も夢もどうして。
it's just survival of the fittest.
諦めてたまるか。口にしてやれ。一匹残らず俺がこの手で。
Right. What happens next? Oh, damn! Like hatched like an egg, like an alien. Aliens and Alien versus Predator. These definitely are not black eyes. Hulk, elf Hulk. There's just like so much blood on the streets. It's wild. Nice uppercut. This is like the acts on instincts kind of thing. He's saying this all out loud? Oh man. It does have like blue-green eyes. What is... Oh man. Mikasa's got the... Mikasa's nervous? Oh man, he was saying it out loud.
俺たちに向けられてるのか。そいつは巨人を倒すた
Oh
めの武器
man.
だろうが。
Oh no, not this guy again. Oh, go away. It's Hannes. Primary survey core. Show people like walking in that, but I'm pretty sure they were all on horses in the beginning of the episode. On the interior. So they did get separated.
みんなの補給の救援を志願したんだけど、せっかく私たちはガスを確保できたのにな。じゃあ今ここにいない人たちは全員。
Oof.
ミカサもか。いや、ミカサはジャンたちと一緒に遅れてきたと思ったんだが。
じゃあまさかミカサは負傷でもしたのか。
He's the one to ask.
俺たちには守秘義務が課せられた。
It's a secret.
守秘義務なんだそりゃ。
もっとも隠し通せるような話じゃねえ。
So they all brought him.
巨人自体で肉の防護壁を作るとは
Fortification.
技術班も考えたな。
Hey!
しかし俺たち
Kind of what I was talking about. Why did they do that before?
人類と巨人の最前線であり、崖っぷちなのだからな。
Didn't recognize the voice, but nice, it's honest. Where is he then?
だが俺たちは当初の訓練通り迎撃のみに専念すればいい。
Just as we trained.
5年前に逃げ延びた子供たちが3人訓練兵をしていると聞きました。彼らも前衛に。
Oh boy.
申し訳ありません。
無事だ。強い子たちだ。それぞれが生き抜く術を持っている。一人は高い戦闘技術。一人は強靭な精神力。
Formidable resolve. Brilliant
とて
mind.
も賢い頭を持っ
It's
てい
kind
る。
of like the three
無事だ。必ず生きている。
facets of success. Oh god, I hate this guy's screaming. Can you say both? The voice actor's like good at making me mad. Does he not remember any of it? Is he the infiltrator? It's kind of not wrong, but not fully right either. And like the wall of Titan bodies. Very smart.
確かに彼らの反抗的な態度は明らかです。
His
かといって有益な情報を引き出せそうにもない。
poor staff.
おっしゃる通り、兵と時間の無駄遣いです。
隊長、今なら簡単です。
Alright, so everyone's like thinking that.
私の特技は肉を削ぎ落とすことです。
Oh man, those eyes.
迫られればいつでも披露します。私の特技を体験したい方がいれば、どうぞ一番先に近づいてきてください。
隊長、あのミカサ・アッカーマンは私たち精鋭と
Yeah, she was better than us.
彼女の働きは波の兵士100と10日です。失えば人類にとっての大損害。
こら言った。ミカサ、人と戦ってどうする？この狭い壁の中でどこに逃げようって言うんだ。
Oh, I don't think he does know.
エレンが殺されるのは阻止する。
Know about them
これ以外に
murdering
理由は
people.
必要ない。話し合うんだよ。誰にも何も状況がわからないから。恐怖だけが伝染しているんだ。
俺が巨人じゃないと思っているの。俺だけが。
Oh, he doesn't remember any of it. Oh man, that's so wild.
体がだるくて立てねえし、下手に喋っても殺されそうだ。
No sudden movements.
そんなバカな。何言ってんだ。どういうことなんだそりゃ。あれは夢じゃなかったのか。
That's like oh, I thought it was a dream. Oh man, the dream theme.
なんで？もう一度問う。貴様の正体は何だ？
What kind of question is this?
とにかく答えを間違
Is
えるな。
he
死ぬのは俺だけじゃない。そうだ。俺は昔から。
doesn't look tightny.
お前らと同じ。人間です。
It's so quiet. Is that acceptable? Can we go now?
そうか。誰も自分が悪魔じゃないことを証明できないのだから。
Oh man, this is like the witch trials? Salem? Oh. The key! Oh man, he does have the key.
帰ったらずっと秘密にしていた地下室を見せてやろう。
The basement.
この鍵を。
Oh, his eyes just like poof.
お前が地下室に行かなくてはならないこと。
That's the
この注射のせいで今から
Oh man, it's just like the Hulk.
が起こる。だから今説明してもダメなんだ。いいか。
Oh
オ
man.
ールマリアを奪還して必ず地下室にたどり着くんだ。この力は
You've like never seen him emotional, huh? His power.
彼らの記憶が教えてくれるだろう。
Their memories will tell you. Is it like all the people in the suit? Yeah, this slow-mo is legit. There's the lightning. Or like, not really a lightning bolt, but red? I don't know. So like, you can... Now they're in the stomach. He just... What did he do? He just like bit his hand? Oh man. It's like not even fully grown. It's like the top half. Wow. It's just they just have the key. I could have sworn he didn't have the key last episode. There's just like so much. So he's like in the suit body. So the memories. So he said that their memories will guide you. Is that like the other people inside the Titan with him? All the dead people and such. We got another Titan killer other than just Mikasa. It's this captain guy. I don't remember his name. And yeah, I didn't write it down. Man, so that scene, just with the officer and the cannon and everything, just is very reminiscent of like the Salem witch trials, which is like kind of this famous early American, like during the colonial era. I think it's like in the 1600s, I want to say, where the town of Salem had just women were being accused of being witches, and like you can't prove you're not a witch, right? It's like unfalsifiable, so it's like, I don't know, dozens of people. Like people would accuse the people that they didn't like of being witches so that they would die or get hung or whatever it was. I don't know why that's like so famous. It seems like kind of a random thing in history. But there's like a play about it. I remember I like saw like this production. Anyway, it's very much like that. Like you can't prove you're not evil or whatever. Oh man. So the executive officers, like his officer staff for this captain guy, were also kind of thinking the same thing. So it's like, so he's not like an outlier, I guess, which is interesting. I'll have to think on that. We did get Hannes. Hannes is back. Nice. So maybe it's the engineers are just at the back, because it said they were like, they got like this new net set up, but this one didn't get cut. So how did the first one get? Did that, imagine like the Titans just like nod through it. Yeah, I mean, I'll come back in a bit. There's kind of a lot to process, think about. Yeah, I'll see you in a bit. All right, welcome back, guys, for the post discussion. So for anyone wondering, the little number in the corner of, I think, last episode's, like of the episode capture, I guess, that's my HTML5 video speed controller, so it allows you to like increment or decrement your video playback speed by 0.1. I highly recommend it. I often watch my videos at like 2.5 times speed, kind of speed things up, especially when I watch myself too. I just highly recommend it for if you think someone talks too slow, or if a show you're watching feels like it's going too slowly, you can just speed it up. I noticed from my video analytics that about half the audience, I think, is Japanese of the people who have their locations on. So I'll try to make sure that I don't assume a ton of like familiarity with US history or the US in general. Let me know in the comments if I'm ever confusing or didn't provide like enough context, and I'll try to reply or try to avoid that in the future. Or let me know if you don't care. Either way, both are fine. So during the intro, I was talking about the French horns, and I was thinking of the colloquial term that horn players sometimes use for. I mean, technically it is a glissando. I noticed from searching that I found this video, wherever the little card is, that they're called rips, or lovingly referred to as rips. That's what I was thinking of. But yeah, I think technically they're still glissandos, even though they're for French horns. I think generally wind instruments can't really do glissandos very well, except for trombones. So I can just slide up or down. I think generally it's more of a thing for like strings. So you can kind of halvesies your pitches. Anyway, onto the onto the episode. So the episode starts with a recap, and then we have the front gate with the cannons that are like mounted on the brick gate parts, which are covered in like bloodstains. So it seems like the Titans must have like climbed up the net to kill those people, and then after they're dead, all this weight of Titans on the rope must have cut it or something. I was kind of wondering why not like use a metal gate, because then you wouldn't be able to like chew through it or whatever. I don't know how the Titans got through. Did the soldiers like use explosive shells that blew open the that would be really dumb. Yeah, why wouldn't they use like a metal chain? Like maybe it's just like too heavy. I don't imagine they have suspension cables at this point, or like the bundles of tiny metal wires wrapped together. That becomes really strong, but like you can use those for bridges, but imagine they don't have that yet. So chain links probably can't hold the weight of a ton of chains. So yeah, I guess that's my thinking. Let's use more chains though, I don't know. And then we have that the Elite Survey Corps is on reconnaissance. And again, we have the people reintroduced. Commander Erwin. It's pronounced kind of funny, I noticed. And then there's Captain Levi. I think it's just Levi. And he's as strong as an entire brigade. I think in the previous episode, I thought that was just like an exaggeration, but if Mikasa is worth 100 soldiers, like one of the garrison troopers says later, and from Levi's actions later, I don't think it's an exaggeration. But so the Survey Corps' goals is to establish supply points to supply the human advance. So that makes me happy. At least someone understands the importance of logistics. And the commander being named Erwin, like Erwin Rommel, and talking about logistics. I don't know, it's just all very, very German. Apparently the Survey Corps receives the best humanity has to offer, and there's like military genius that boosted the survival rate. Like very, very Erwin Rommel vibe that I get. But the boosted survival rate is 30%, right? Oh man, then what was it before? Like half? Every time? Like how often can they do these things then? if you're losing a third of the people, you're gonna need to have a significant contribution from, you know, recruiting. Make up for that. Be interesting to see if that's like expanded upon. Alright, then we have this guy like getting munched by Titan. I don't know, kind of was like a lollipop. Just kind of like slowly working through him. And that Titan, that just like one Titan is surrounded by like a half dozen bodies. And this is like just one Titan, right? So I can definitely see where this 30% is coming from. I'm curious what city this is though. I think it's mentioned that they're kind of south. So Trost is the southern city, right? So they're like somewhere in between that and Shingeki, I'd imagine. And if it's like midday, they're like half a day's ride out from Trost if they left in the morning. This is somewhere in between the two walled cities. I wonder if this is like kind of significant, gonna come back up. The empty streets, like covered in blood, it just feels very zombie apocalypse. The tone is like very on point. So we have Captain Levi. He goes after 2 and leaves everyone else to take on 1. So we're already getting, you know, he's already being set up to be the, like one of the best, seems like Mikasa was. And then we are introduced to this girl Petra, who seems to be like a medic of sorts. Yeah, I don't know. I was getting like a StarCraft medic vibe. State your medical emergency. So she goes to like tend to someone. Then we have Goggles Sasha. It's also a Titan killer, so we are getting a couple more Titan killers for the Titan killing crew. And yeah, I don't think the humor is like a coping thing. It's like she's genuinely very giddy, very Sasha. And then there's like this Titan that she kills, and it looks like an actor, but I really don't know who I'm like thinking of, or is like a TV show character, like Sylvester Stallone maybe. I don't know. It's like not quite that. I think, yeah, I feel like it's like an action actor, but maybe I'm just crazy. And then there's like blood from that, and it evaporates off her coat. It's kind of neat. We have Captain Levi with the double kill, and he does like this spinning thing, just like we saw at the like introduction of the first episode, I think, in the forest. He seems to have a thing for against Titan blood. Titan's kind of angry. The blood is filthy, I think he says, or something. Then we have the guy on the ground, the lollipop, who's bleeding out, and Petra's like trying to tend to him, and she's like, the bleeding won't stop, and just like a straight callback to the Friends and Hana scene. Except this guy actually like got to keep his bottom half. Yeah, so Levi takes his hand, and the hand's like all bloody, and like Levi's like just mentioned to like not like blood. So it seems that they're trying to characterize this captain as like underneath his like fussy, kind of detached facade, he seems to like really care about his soldiers, and upset that they're dying, and that the commander's like ordering everyone to retreat. And then he says like he's gonna obliterate the Titans. It's like just like Eren. So yay, we found Eren another friend. Oh yeah. Oh, too funny. Alright, and then we get to the kind of the title drop of the episode, where the left arm went. So Eren's like in this human soup of death, bloody soup. It reminds me of this board game I played called Kingdom Death Monster, and you kind of like wake up and like the ground is covered in like human like stone faces. It's kind of got the same vibe, and it's like completely dark. But just in one Titan, there's like at least a dozen garrison bodies. So, you know, and there's dozens and dozens of Titans, right? So you can start to make sense of these high casualty rates very viscerally. Though I'm thinking maybe this one was an aberrant, because it's like part of the group that was like pulling on wires and stuff for Team 34. So maybe he's like more powerful, and that's why there's so many bodies. But yeah. And then there's like someone that's actually alive in there, and this is like straight up out of nightmares. And Eren's very believably upset that the 5 years of training just to die like that. You know, the Titans are like OP. And Eren's really upset, like, why are they doing this? Like, what do they have to gain? And I'm just like, same. We still really don't have a motivation for why the Titans are doing the killing. But it kind of feels like in this moment, it's like heavily implied that his trigger was like getting angry. But then we see later, I think maybe it's not. So it's like Titan arm like materializes, and Eren emerges like an Alien versus Predator, like out of the bodies of the human hosts, the Titan host in this case. And he's like fully formed already. And the first Titan that he sees like jumps at him. So, right, this is an aberrant. So I imagine if the hive mind thing, I'm like getting like very, very much closer to the hive mind is like definitely what's happening here, because so maybe this Titan notices him, and then the hive mind is kind of aware of this, and then elicits more control over this one and becomes an aberrant, and that therefore is able to jump instead of just like run. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's definitely what it feels like to me. And yeah, this is so. I guess one point working against that is I think this so. Armin lives not because like the hive mind could appraise his mental state, but that Eren just like popped out and killed the surrounding Titans. I guess Armin's just like seeing Eren's death just put him in like a state of shock, and I guess like kind of catatonic, so that he's like doesn't remember any of this. So that's, I guess, like one point working against hive mind. I don't know. I feel like 90% on it. Then we have Eren waking up, and he's like talking about like this dream, and he's like kill them all, and Armin's freaking out. And those are those are Eren's first words as a new boy. Aww, baby Eren, kill them. Oh, that's so funny. Then we get the information so far about the Survey Corps. The primary mission is reconnaissance, and though their objective has changed since the fall of Wall Maria, now it's to prepare a second operation to recapture Wall Maria by establishing supply points and routes for troop movement. Those the carts that are kind of drawn on that kind of reminded me of those rocket carrying carts in like the movie Mulan, with the it's kind of like a covered wagon. I don't know, I guess their version of rockets is just the compressed gas canisters. But anyway, moving on, we have the interior inside the walls where our trainees are hanging out. Connie's filling in Krista and Freckles on what happened, so we learned that they were like separated. It seems like Krista requested gas a bunch, so it seems like she was in charge of like some kind of supply chain, like maybe like signaling or mirror signaling or something, or maybe they were runners between the front lines and HQ or something. So it seems like they must have gotten gas from, you know, from people who got out before the headquarters fell, and had a separate duty from Connie's squad. But Freckles asks about Mikasa, because like if she's missing, like no one wants Mikasa to be dead, right? Because she's like the best of us. And it's so funny, like, better ask Jean, right? He'll know about Mikasa, right? But we learned that they're ordered to keep this a secret, so I'm not sure what to think about that. I'll have to like give it some more thought. Kind of like a callback, I think, to perhaps some like censorship of ideas or knowledge. I think, what was it, like Taboo episode 1 or 2 was like knowledge of the outside world, or the outside world is like taboo, and you can't, and the book is Armin's book from his grandpa is like kind of contraband. Seems like there's some kind of censorship. I imagine this is just kind of an extension to that. then we go and see like this wall of titans in front of the gate, and I was thinking that they like that's what they should have done for the front gate, you know? Like maybe that net, I don't know, maybe they trickled in too slowly and didn't like stack up. It doesn't seem like they're discrete sizes either. It kind of seems like they're all different sizes. I don't think there's like any kind of standardization, which inclines me to believe it's more of like a biological thing than like a planned thing. Oh, and then we finally get Hannes making a cameo. So I think in the other episode, was it like 5 or something? He was called a captain of the engineers. But in this scene, he like says of the engineers that the engineers are pretty smart. Like it sounds like he's talking about other people, like not himself. So he's like not in charge of the engineers, or they're like multiple captains? I don't know. Kind of weird, kind of fishy. So like he didn't command this net wall of titans flash thing idea, then what was he doing? And it's easy to be an optimist when you're in the back. So he's like confident that the three will be safe, the trio. He hasn't been on the front lines, and he hasn't seen combat in like 5 years, right? Seems like. And then he like comments that the trio is like the 3 kind of like facets of success, I guess. There's like competence, brilliance, and drive, ambition. All right, so then we get to the big confrontation scene with Captain Brownbeard. That's my name for him. And like this opening line is like, essentially, it's treason then. Right? You know that scene from Star Wars. What is it? I like Episode 3. Palpatine. It's treason then. Yeah, make lie or make one move and we'll kill you with high explosives. And he's like essentially asking, are you a witch? Are you a witch or not? Which is very reminiscent of like the I think I was mentioning the episode, the Salem witch trials, which is like late 1600s, early colonial America, which are like, I don't really remember like why it's so significant, but in like my US history classes, it's always been kind of a fairly extensive topic. And I looked it up. The play that I remember seeing is called The Crucible. It must have been like 5 or 6 years ago now. But apparently it was like the musical was like an allegory for the American McCarthyism era, named after Wisconsin Senator I think, McCarthy, who in like the 1950s, there was like kind of this anti-communism craze in the US where everyone's kind of accusing each other of being communists for political reasons. So yeah, thanks Wisconsin. There's like very much hysteria in that kind of time period. And so actually this scene, as well as kind of the McCarthyism era, all of this kind of ties into a book that I recently read that kind of just relates to all of this, which was called The Authoritarians. It's like a book on the psychology of authoritarianism, which is kind of like submission to authority. It's written, it's free online. You just Google The Authoritarians. It's by like a Canadian emeritus professor, I think. Anyway, the relevant parts of the book is like during a societal crisis, when human society is being stressed, humans in general kind of tend to become more authoritarian in their psychology profile, their personalities. And so people that score highly on authoritarian indexes score highly on things like support for perceived strong or tough leaders. They often are willing to demonize and have a high amount of fear for people that are, or things that are considered others. And then you also have increasing popular support for use of force or imposition of like martial law by authority figures, etc. There's all kind of a very similar thing. And it turns out that people in this kind of state of mind often don't care about evidence. as long as their authorities, the perceived authorities, say the right things, essentially like espouse the values that these people have, then they will keep supporting them, even though the evidence or their actions doesn't line up with what they're saying. So like during hard times, humans just naturally seem to want to rally behind like a strong leader, strong authority figure. So in human history, many people have taken advantage of this fact. Some of them unscrupulous to try to exacerbate those fears, which makes the fears that is kind of driving the authoritarianism, so people even become more so. They're trying to shift like the entire society, to become very authoritarian in general, so that if they are in a high political position, then they gain even more power. And also these people are becoming, if they're becoming more authoritarian, they're also becoming more and more tolerant, supportive of state violence to keep order. So like the extreme examples are like Mussolini and Hitler, but and like Stalin. You also have like McCarthy, which is kind of like a less extreme case. But globally right now, it's like kind of on the rise again. We have Duterte in the Philippines, the current U.S. president, the Brazilian president Bolsonaro, Putin in Russia. All these figures are kind of perceived as like strong authority figures among the people that support them. So we're kind of seeing this rise of fear, demonization of the others, fear of immigration kind of coming back. But it's not necessarily like a bad thing, right? So if you get lucky, if your society gets lucky and you get like a benevolent leader, like in the US, I can think of FDR, the US president during like the Great Depression and World War II era, and Abe Lincoln during the Civil War era, which are both kind of seen as like some of the greatest presidents. They had a lot of popular kind of like support, kind of in a similar way, I guess. I guess one thing I should mention is that like it doesn't. So this authoritarianism kind of doesn't. It affects both ends of the political spectrum. So if you look at it's really crazy. So if you look at the psychological profile of a staunch anti-communist American in the 1950s, and then you take the psychological profile of a staunch anti-capitalist in Soviet Russia at the same time, you'll notice that the personality, psychology-wise, these two people, they have more in common with each other than often most of their fellow countrymen. But these two are like the most overly hostile kind of groups in either country against the other, even though they have like psychologically wise, they are very similar to each other. If you took one of them and put them in the other country at their birth, they would end up as essentially the same person but opposite. It's kind of wild. Anyway, so this all comes back around. There's a ton of other interesting stuff in that book. I highly recommended it. And I could talk about it for ages, but coming back around, we have the actions by Captain Brownbeard are like very much in line with all of what the sociology would predict. We have first, we have like this crisis, and the level of fear is rising, which results in one, increasing authoritarianism in the people, leading to two, willingness to demonize others, so Eren, and three, supporting extrajudicial state violence to kill the trio, while four, not being responsive to the evidence or de-escalation, and then five, the leader of the group wants to display a show of force to keep the projection of a strong leader, who then six tries to enhance the fears of the people by bringing up that the armored titan is coming, the annihilation of humanity is now, we don't have time to spend, which then seven succeeds, and everyone kind of in all the troopers, his support staff, all kind of do exactly what the captain is doing, right? And it almost reads kind of like straight out of that textbook, textbook. yeah, it's super wild. And it's kind of also the timeline that we live in the world right now, but you know, on a bit less extreme scale. So yeah, so jumping back into that scene, we have the confrontation. We have Mikasa's threat. She's like holding her swords out, and that we're told that she's like worth the value of like 100 soldiers. And Armin in this moment says you can't fight another human or something like that. He's like very adamant about it. And I'm like, it's totally 100% that he doesn't know that they've killed people, because you can't fight another human instead would be something like you can't do this again, or you know, something like that. But he does make a point that if they do run, they have nowhere to go because you're kind of trapped within the walls, kind of like a cattle pen. And Mikasa's response is like essentially kind of a distillation of what happened in her childhood. Like, you can't run because if you try and run, they'll just catch you and you'll end up like kidnapped. You know, so she has to fight back like her mother essentially, and then she doesn't want to like lose Eren again. So yeah, I don't care. I'm fighting. And yeah, it also just so happens that when authoritarians end up in charge, they often escalate tensions. So violence is much more likely. And this is just like an example of that. Kind of each other are kind of raising the stakes, the tensions, and then Armin like seems to like want to get everyone to settle down, but he knows like they're not listening to logic. It's all of these things kind of a result of this driving fear. But oh my god, so in this moment, Eren's like so out of the loop, right? And he doesn't remember anything, and he's like too exhausted to move, I think he says. And he's like thinks that the human soup and stuff was a dream. So at first I kind of thought that it was because he often has crazy dreams, so this is like not uncommon for him. But I think we get the actual answer in a moment later, which I'll get to. He's like super surprised that he like regrew his limbs, and like he's a Titan. Like, how am I a Titan? And then he starts remembering his childhood, and then starts to kind of piece it together that the memories of, you know, being a child, whatever, it's not a dream, right? So then he has the big "I'm human" moment, which reminds me of those two songs, like "I'm only human after all, but I'm only human." And the response, "No one can prove they're not the devil," which just reminds me of that Monty Python and the Holy Grail scene of like, she's a witch, burn her, and then like about to like raise a hand and shoot him. And they're about to run, and then we get the flash of the key. And Eren's has like this moment where his eyes like expand, and we also get like this sound effect. It's like sounds like a ringing bell, I think, and which is kind of like the light bulb going off. So he was remembering that his childhood kind of seemed maybe dreamlike, but it was actually a memory. If you remember from episode 3, I think, a little bit a while ago, he was waking up. It was this just before the bread scene. Mikasa said like he had a bad dream since he can't have seen his dad, and I think Eren like believed that and kind of thought it was all a dream, right? But then he starts remembering his dad's words in episode 1 about he's going to show him the basement and that his dad had the key. So like now he understands he must have gotten the key, right? And then that prompts him to realize that with kind of this realization that that the Titan soup scene was also not a dream, and that might have had like the same feeling of the torch sequence with his father. Eren realizes that that was not a dream either, so this is all like a super big revelation for him. Speaking of this sequence with his dad's like very adamant that he can never let go of the key. He must get to the basement. And then he has this shot that supposedly impairs Eren's memory, makes it feel dreamlike, I guess. And the doctor is like crying, right? I don't think we've ever seen this much emotion out of him. Like even in scene with Mikasa being adopted. I don't think he was particularly emotional about it. Oh, I take that back. I think he was crying. Also, when he was on that like stagecoach, talking about his family and hoping they're safe. I think he was crying as well. Either way, this is like a highly emotional moment for him. And so there's this, so that much emotion, like whatever he's doing must be like a hard thing to do, like injecting his son, whatever it is. He's like using like some injection from like this liquid vial thing. And so if we believe that this is like Hulk juice, right? And he's like super emotional, upset about giving it to Eren. Presumably he knows what its effects are, right? Unless he like didn't know exactly what it was, except that it would like be bad, stressful in some way. But he also says like he could explain it if he had more time. Like he doesn't have time to explain it or whatever. So I think he like must know about it, right? And he like calls it this power. And then he has this like weird line of their memories will tell you how to use it. The Titan soup, like the memories of the people in the body, I guess definitely can't be it, right? Because the doctor can't have known about them because they're like 4 years in the future, right? So like, what is he talking about? Like, who is their memories? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to like think on that. So as well with the dad, apparently in the basement we will learn the truth, I think he says, and so he says something like the path will be hard, but you like must make it there and use your power to save Mikasa. I think he says like Mikasa, Armin, and everyone. So this feels very like Marvel superhero. Master your power to save the world. Like Jesus Hulk Eren. Hulk Jesus. So yeah, so this entire thing is like not quite the Grisha reveal that I had kind of envisioned, but it's pretty close. He's like coming in and dropping this like huge knowledge bomb. He's not like coming in, he's like coming back in, I guess. But yeah, it's just like so cryptic. I'll definitely have to like think on it probably for like next episode. Maybe I'll talk about it if I mold it over. Anyway, so we have the finale with Eren being carried over the shoulder of Mikasa, and it's like just call back to Hannes in episode 1, like when Eren's powerless, right? And so during my editing, I totally like thought I hadn't noticed the lightning, electricity thing, but apparently I did when I was looking at my reaction, and like for some reason my brain just like didn't register it. So like when I was trying to do my notes, I totally thought I didn't see it. Anyway, so the lightning we see doesn't come from the sky; it like comes outward from himself. So it actually kind of reminded me of like the old school Pikachu Thunderbolt animation, where it's like kind of like an arc, and it just like kind of like this glowing orb of electricity around. Anyway, we get Eren biting his hand, and yeah, we see like this full like, oh man, it's so wild. They have like this full lightning like mass energy conversion, like in real time, like building it, like much more extensively than just the hand in the other episode. And yeah, it's just like so sick. But it's like just his top half, and it's like just one arm. There's like no skin. So like there's like a ton of smoke and steam, like not just from. So it seems like the smoke and steam is like not just a decomposition thing, but also like the transformation itself also outputs a lot. And we essentially end the scene with Mikasa and Armin are like super freaked out, and I think that's like twice in the same episode that we see like Mikasa like worried or kind of scared. It's like nice to see that her like tough facade is like kind of been weakened over the past couple episodes. But anyway, that's the episode. So let's talk about some things that I was thinking from before the episode. I was wondering if Eren would be awake. He's definitely awake. He originally had like amnesia, but eventually that kind of comes to. And him and his dad give us a ton of information on the Titan mechanics, albeit kind of small snippets and it's kind of disjointed, but it's at least something. We get explanation for why Krista was separated from Connie, and yeah, her being the one requesting supplies makes it sound like she's like her squad was on some kind of relay duty or signal duty. I think it seems like all the Titans are various sizes, not like a standardization. We see Eren's got the key. Also, yeah, Eren's transformation didn't need the sky lightning, so it seems like it's less energetic and a less energetic transformation compared to the Colossal, so it doesn't require the lightning. We have a defense of the rear gate with like a wall of Titan bodies. So a few episodes ago, I mentioned that they could have done that with the front gate, but like instead with like a ton of cannons and like you shred the legs of the Titans and they kind of like pile up or something. But I think that actually wouldn't work because now we know like Titans decompose when they die, so I imagine if you're like shelling, eventually you kill them and the pile would start descending. So you have to find a way to keep them alive, right? Yeah, I'm curious though if like the Titans like cut or like chewed their way their way through the first gate's netting, like why wouldn't they do the same here? Especially when there's like so many of them, right? Like for the front gate, did the cannon shells just like shred the rope and they like somehow self-sabotaged the garrison did? I don't know, I feel like something's like not quite adding up in my head. Oh no, no, I think so. The rear gate, I think the stone brick thing is like the gate is still intact, right? So no, so the Titans are just like padding, I guess, like padding for it. I think it does all check out. All right, so to get to the end of the discussion over the overarching topics. So for goals, we have kind of this goal of restoring order, like quieting fear, preparing the gate, the defense of the gate, which is kind of like everyone. And we have the key basement goal kind of being very much expanded on. Big Daddy coming in. Oh boy, like all of the questions, right? So why is it that Eren must be the one to have the goal of getting to the basement? Like, wouldn't it just be Dr. Jaeger's kind of like personal goal? If Eren has to do it, then like Grisha can't do it himself. Like, why not just like inject himself so that Eren wouldn't have to like be involved at all? So it kind of suggests to me like he wouldn't be able to get there somehow, or he's like on the run from like maybe like the police or something, and he has to like go into hiding. Part of why he's getting so emotional is like this is gonna be like the last time he's gonna see Eren, right? So like the other time we see him emotional is when he's worried he won't see his family again. So maybe this is just like an extension of that, or maybe whatever is in the basement can't be explained in words. It has to like be seen, which like where did he like get this juice from? Did he make it? Is this like a basement like a laboratory or something? And like there's some like gnarly shit in there that must be seen instead of explained. Yeah, if Eren as well can go like back and forth between human and Titan, so this juice is like kind of seems like human Titan engineering. It's kind of like blending them together, kind of like spiders and humans is like Spider-Man. So is this like the Ant-Man technology that I've kind of been wondering about? Like, can you inject other things with this stuff? Like, can you inject ants? Why only Eren? You can inject more people, right? So wouldn't like more be better? And can you like only enlarge, or can you like also shrink? We get like a mini Eren. Right after the transformation at the end of the episode, we also get a straight cut to Hannes, like kind of looking nervous. So like, is he in on this somehow? This Titan engineering thing, like him being missing for so long, plus knowing the Jaeger family to begin with. I don't know. He just like seems very suspicious to me. Just like kind of made me think of like that 9/11 meme, like, well, Maria was an inside job. Yeah, I don't know. So just like overall, like a tiny bit of info, but just like a million questions that I'll just like, I'm just gonna move on, think on it, come back to it. Maybe we'll get more information, which will stop me from speculating so much. We get some Survey Corps action, and their goal is totally Rohirrim. Gandalf and Rohirrim come back to the city and save it, presumably with 30% fewer than the morning. Sad. And it seems like this Captain Levi and Eren have the same goal of like killing all the Titans. Oh man, I just realized. Oh, I'm just realizing the irony with Eren. So his like original goal, right, is to to kill all the Titans, and now he's half Titan. Oh man, that's amazing. It's like if Spider-Man was like wanted to kill the spiders, and then no, he's Spider-Man. That's funny. Anyway, we have moving on to from goals. We have conflicts. We have like the humans versus fear. It's like this kind of conflict going on here in this like entire episode. I think previously I was thinking like we might have the recruits versus Captain Brownbeard, but it's just instead it's just the trio versus him, and it's not like a full scale like mutiny, I guess. It seems like all of the troopers are kind of in support of this guy, of this captain, and I don't know, maybe it's like kind of a light Milgram effect. A quick aside, the Milgram experiment effect is like shows like humans are very likely to do what they're commanded to, even often if it goes against their moral conscience. That's like what makes authoritarianism so dangerous. It's like all the people become suddenly more likely to do bad because the people in charge can be bad. Common examples like Wehrmacht soldiers in the Holocaust. Anyway, so the humans versus fear is like taking the place of the maybe this mutiny idea. Also have Titans versus the humans. We have so we actually do have a plan for the rear gate. Just have all the Titans stack up and be a Titan cushion. So it definitely relies on the armored Titan not showing up until after the cushion is made. So definitely a bit convenient. Yeah, I don't know. Like Hannes being in the engineers, I don't know. Very fishy. And then we have like the themes. We kind of have like this selfish versus selfless theme coming back, but it's kind of increasingly blurry to me what's like the most applicable name for this kind of theme, because there's kind of like this competing aspects that are kind of all connected, right? We have the selflessness kind of dynamic, but then there's like kind of this authoritarianism that's kind of driving this selfless problem, and then there's kind of the fear at the base of it that's driving this authoritarianism. And I think I've already elaborated on authoritarianism enough, but I think so like technically the root of kind of this entire thing is fear, exacerbation of fear, and which really doesn't bode well for Eren, because he's essentially like a giant skeleton right now, right? And everyone knows that skeletons are scary, right? Yeah. Tiny bit of update on survival of the fittest thing. Eren in the Titan soup was human soup, was upset that even with like all the training, he still died essentially, right? He's like thinking it's like very unfair. And yeah, the survival of the fittest like doesn't care what's fair or not, right? Doesn't care about your feelings. Just is what it does, you know. And then we also have like a pretty big expansion on like the dreams memories kind of idea. And Eren breaking through like his amnesia in this episode and finding out that some of his dreams were actually memories. The torch scene, him dying scene, with his dad, etc. seems to be also kind of like a callback to like the very start of the show in episode 1, when it seemed like he also had amnesia, and I think something about dreams I think were mentioned in that. So I'm not sure how that's related, but maybe we'll come back to that. We also have kind of divinity being pretty well expanded upon. Eren is like Hulk Jesus confirmed. and he's rising from the dead to take away the sins of the world. And that kind of means to me like Reiner is like Galaxy Brain, confirmed, because from that Moonlight scene, prophecy kind of thing, prophecy vibe. I guess that's why he's like number 2. Yeah, anyway, so wrapping up here. This has been a long one for me, probably for you too. I'm not sure how long this is gonna end up in edit, but I just want to wrap up quickly. Not much for closing comments here, except that, you know, Hannes is just super fishy, but I mean, we'll see next time. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, those kind of things, you know, algorithm, blah, blah, blah. Hit the bell if you don't like the algorithm. And anyway, I hope you have a wonderful week, wonderful weekend. I'll see you next time. Cheers.